Greetings and welcome to today's performance presented by the Department of Music. Please note the exits to the right of the hall, at the front and rear of the hall. Please silence all cell phones and other electronic devices. Please avoid the use of flash photography. UTM students seeking attendance credit for this performance must scan the record QR code or leave their UTM student ID with the usher for the duration of the performance. Thank you for coming and enjoy the performance.
program, Let It Snow, Let It Snow, Let It Snow, but alas, I didn't have the foresight to do it. My name is Doug Owens. I have the pleasure and the privilege of conducting the Martin Community Orchestra here. What you just heard was something that I think is pretty remarkable. This orchestra, by themselves, managed the first and last movements of one of the premier works ever composed for string ensemble. Pretty remarkable stuff. So, eine kleine Nachtmusik, which means in German, a little night music. I just learned this recently, by the way. Mozart kind of just, sketched that in a notepad instead. I'm gonna call it this because, it's a little night music, right? That's not the formal title of this piece. The formal title is Serenade number 13 in G major or whatever it is. But eine kleine Nachtmusik is what stuck. And another little nugget of trivia, I didn't realize this was never actually published in Mozart's lifetime. So it was almost 50 years after he died that this piece started making the rounds, which is pretty incredible because if you're like me, you've known that piece, at least in the back of your head, probably since you were, my son over there, 6 years old age in the back of your head. So incredible job, Martin Community Orchestra. So the next piece that we're going to program for you is Barbara Redmond's Thanksgiving Medley. And back in the early fall, when I was considering stuff to bring to the orchestra, I said, okay, we're going to be playing this literally just a few days after Thanksgiving. And what do we not have much of? We go straight from Halloween to Christmas music, right? So we don't have much Thanksgiving music. So I made it a point to find something. And so this piece is really great. It is an interfaith medley of Christian and Jewish Thanksgiving hymns. I think the one that stands out to me the most is Simple Gifts that you may know from Aaron Copeland's Appalachian Spring. But a lovely piece, and I think you're going to enjoy Barbara Redmond's Thanksgiving Medley. on the stage are all music education majors, which means that ultimately they want to go out and teach music, whether it be band or whether it be choir or whether it be maybe even strings. But I don't think a single person in this group is a native string player. I don't know, maybe Jason, who plays a little bit of upright bass over there. But it's really outstanding. We have methods classes in which our music education majors learn how to teach and play secondary instruments. So what I wanted to do is to give them a little bit of a taste of playing in a string ensemble, open the invite, and Dr. Michael Mathenia, who you're going to hear from in just a few moments, was so kind to coordinate this group coming in and playing with us this evening to fill out the numbers a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and tell you about the first piece that you're going to hear. They're going to play two with us. The first piece, Stolen Castle, by a guy with a really funny name, Scratch Eden. And some of you might know the name or remember the name if you've been around here at UTM long enough of a fellow named John Alex Warner. John Alex is now composing and his pen name is Scratch Eden. John Alex graduated from Union City, and I take all the credit for his success just because he was in my ear training class back in the day. So y'all listen up, the pain is worth it. So John Alex wrote this piece and he was sending it out and he said, okay, it's free. And I said, well, let's check it out. So I went ahead and programmed it for this particular ensemble. Just to tell you a little bit about it, John Alex and me, we're both big nerds. And we both really like Game of Thrones. And he takes the title from an instance in Game of Thrones where there's a castle that's taken over. And most of the time we think about that as being very militaristic, very, battle-hardened. But what he did is he took two themes. One theme that you'll hear at the very beginning that is more triumphant, more dark, more let's get in a battle, and takes it and juxtaposes it with something that's much more lyrical and almost mournful. Something else that he does really well is he decided that he was going to take essentially the first 6 notes that string players learn and make something as absolutely melodic out of it as he could. And I was really impressed on first hearing it and my first read through. I was like, hey, this is a neat piece for only 6 notes. So I think you're going to enjoy Scratch Eden or John Alex Warner's Stolen Castle. Before we do that, Maestro, could you give a tuning pitch? on to our Christmas set. What everybody came for, right? Only it's a little weird, right? Nightmare on the Housetop. What's that all about? So John Pasternak is an Ohio-based composer, and he writes a lot for educational ensembles. And he wrote this piece very particularly for those beginning string ensembles who need something a little fresh to play on their winter or their holiday concert. So Nightmare on the Housetop. Why is it called Nightmare? Well, you might figure that it takes Up on the Housetop, that song we've all known since we were kids, and kind of does something a little bit weird to it. It puts it in a minor key, so it feels a little bit creepier than normal. So we started rehearsing this right around Halloween, so I thought it was a really appropriate bridge between those two seasons. So Nightmare on the Housetop. Students, stand up, please. So this was their debut performance as string players, and I do think that deserves one more round of applause. I really hope they'll be back for some more playing. Okay, so next on the agenda is I'm going to ask for the Strings Method students and for the Martin Community Orchestra to maybe take your seats out in the audience since there are so many spare seats out there. By the way, if any of you are just rolling in the dough and are looking for a good cause, we're looking for some donors for our community concert hall. We'd be glad to take donations for our to show you where to check some new verses. Anyway, so a couple of years ago, first I should probably tell you this. I have been very privileged to have the opportunity to work very closely with the Jackson Symphony Orchestra over the past couple of years. And right about the time that I began working with the ensemble, the folks in the office wrote a grant. And what that grant ultimately helped build were resources in West Tennessee in spots where students might not have regular access to string instruction. The grant that they received was very much directed toward building what are known as regional music centers, both on the string side and on the choral side. And we stand, I believe at last count, we are at 5 regional music centers in Martin, Tennessee. And come spring on the Perkins Civic Center stage down in Jackson, I think we're going to have, Michael, fact check me on this, nearly 200 beginning string players. It's going to be an incredible concert. And thanks to Dr. Michael Mathenia, who you're going to meet in just a moment, we have our very own regional music center right here in Martin, Tennessee. And we've got about a dozen young string players who are going to charm you with their rendition of Jingle Bells. And Dr. Mathenia, I will let you take it over from here, my friend. Thanksgiving music to go around. But something I'm thankful for is this particular ensemble over the last 2 years has put a lot of confidence in me to take them to these concerts, and I've grown so much as a teacher, as a person, as an artist because of them. And I mean, I leave every Monday night at 9 p.m. just absolutely mentally exhausted, and I know they do too. And we have a very good time together, and I think we have grown so much together, and I appreciate y'all, and I appreciate what's going on here in West Tennessee. I saw Pam Sliger out there somewhere. I know Pam has got a choral RMC, and I've heard what those kids are doing when they get together, and it's really incredible what's going on in music education in our corner of the world, so I'm so appreciative. And while I am thanking people, I have to ask our spiritual and emotional leader, Miss Carla Field, to stand and be recognized for her wonderful contributions to the Jingle Bell. She told me she was practicing 4 hours a day for the last 3 months on that one to make that absolutely perfect. So this next selection, O Tannenbaum, I really wanted to include this on our winter concert because this particular tune turns 200 this year in its current publication. And I think this arrangement that we have found and that we're playing together is a beautiful arrangement of this piece, and I think that you will enjoy it very much. really synth heavy driven instrumental kind of remixes, mashups of the old traditional Christmas songs. That's Mannheim Steamroller. So I thought that was kind of a cool full circle moment right there to bring this piece to you as the conclusion. And by the way, if I'm remembering right, and for those of you who have been in the orchestra a little bit longer than I have, I want to acknowledge something that is very special about the Martin Community Orchestra this year. This is, I believe, the 10th anniversary of the founding of the Martin Community Orchestra. We're celebrating with some pieces they've done before. I believe you folks had done Eine kleine Nachtmusik back a few years before I started working with you. But I saw him earlier, Dr. John Ulrich, who's our director of bands right here and instrumental music education coordinator. He was the founder of the group, and so we very much appreciate all the conductors who have gotten to work with the ensemble, and appreciate those of you who started the group. When I began working with the group in 2022, I believe there were 7 of them that semester, and they were suckers for punishment, and they stuck it out, and we've grown quite a bit since then, and it's been such a pleasure to work with. I want to introduce our last but not least round of guests. On harpsichord synthesizer over here is Dr. Elaine Harris, who, by the way, if I might throw this out to embarrass her a little bit, recently announced, can I make that where they can give you a good big applause? This will be Dr. Harris's last year as full-time professor of piano here at UT Martin, and I think she's going out with a bang, playing some Mannheim Steamroller on the keyboard, right? Everybody say Dr. I am very proud, as I mentioned before, to work very closely with the Jackson Symphony Orchestra, and beginning in fall of 2023, I was absolutely blessed and blown away to be asked to conduct the Jackson Youth Symphony. And one of the most impressive things from that semester is I don't think I said a single word to the percussion section because they were on fire and just all the time on top of it. And Kellen Smith on drum set with us tonight is one of the musicians of the Jackson Symphony Youth Orchestra. She is so kind to have come up here and brought her family as well to share her musical abilities with us this evening. Everybody welcome Kellen to the stage. Folks, thank you so much for sharing your evening, your cold evening with us in an admittedly a little bit too hot facility right now. We'll try to get some fans in here for the next time you're in here. But for the parents of the beginning string players, I've got to tell you, Michael Mathenia is just the greatest guy in the world, other than myself, of course. But Michael Mathenia is just fantastic. He's providing such a unique opportunity for your children to be able to make music, and I hope they come up and play with the community orchestra here in Martin one of these days, or the Jackson Symphony Youth Orchestra. But without any further